welcome to the premiere of Word on the Street. I'm Grace Lathrop.
And I'm Hannah Lipski. This segment will be your go-to for national entertainment news, along with Iowa City events, shows, concerts, and theater productions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Let's dive right in.
Hannah, I know last year LA saw a major change when the writer's strike happened.
Yeah, Grace, we really saw a dip in shows and movies that were being produced, and the actors were also on strike. I remember seeing big names taking to the streets like Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, just to name a couple. And I have a feeling this won't be the end of it, but for now, let's take a look at the background of the strike and how it affected this year in entertainment.
From May 2nd to September 27th of 2023, the Writers Guild of America was on strike, meaning no one in the union could write anything for movies, TV series, plays, talk shows, and award shows. This union represents over 11,000 writers.
You know, what I recently found out is the only writers that were allowed to still work were for broadcast news. You know, this all came about because the writers felt like they weren't getting paid fairly for the work that they were putting out. They felt like these big production studios were taking most of the profit when they were the ones, giving them the ideas and making them their money. And what was super interesting is that SAG-AFTRA, which is the actors union, joined a strike in July, and it went all the way till November. And they took to the streets and they, couldn't even talk about what they were doing.
Yeah, Hannah, I remember seeing this a lot on the news. Actors really couldn't even talk about the projects or do interviews and mention the things that they were a part of, and even go to premieres of movies that they starred in.
Yeah, and as a performer, I would be really frustrated with this, putting so much work and dedication into something you've worked so hard on, and then not even being able to see it for the first time.
Yeah, I really couldn't even imagine. I think that would be absolutely crushing. And I know that these strikes really did impact entertainment this year, just in general, but kind of switching gears a little bit, that brings us to this year's annual Emmy Awards ceremony airing this Sunday. The writer's strike did have some impact in these shows, as some categories are a lot smaller than usual.
That's right, Grace, but I personally think one of the most important parts of these shows is who's going to host them.
Absolutely. It's always a controversial decision, but always really exciting when it is announced. Last Emmys, Anthony Anderson hosted and played it a little bit more on the safe side, steering away from throwing insult to audience members to avoid any backlash.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to watch this year because of the father-son duo, Dan and Eugene Levy, hosting.
Absolutely. I love them on Schitt's Creek, and I know they're just going to be excellent hosting this. I'm a huge fan of the show, and these two have actually won Emmys of their own before. Eugene Levy is a 14-time nominee and a 4-time winner, and Dan Levy is a 6-time nominee and also a 4-time winner.
Yeah, I mean, I just think they're hilarious. I'm super excited to see what comedy they're going to bring. And they actually created Schitt's Creek together.
I did read that. I thought that was super interesting as well.
Yeah, this definitely hits super close to home for both of them. And I'm just super excited to see what's going to be on stage on Sunday.
For sure.
Okay, so kicking off the categories, let's get into the nominations for Best Drama Series. They are The Crown, Fallout, The Gilded Age, The Morning Show, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Shogun, Slow Horses, and 3 Body Problem.
Starting off, the biggest name in this category is definitely The Crown. So far, this show has had 87 Emmy nominations and 21 wins over 6 seasons. In 2021, it was the first drama to sweep in 7 major categories at the Emmys.
I would not want to be going up against those stats, but Shogun could dethrone The Crown. It's been getting great reviews, and sources like Vanity Fair and USA Today are going back and forth between who could win.
I agree with you, Hannah. I really think this one could be anyone's game. Now, when we asked students their opinion on this category, they weren't quite as enthusiastic about some of the other categories, but let's take a look on their opinions.
I think The Crown is going to win on Sunday. I mean, that's one of my favorite shows. I think it's all the drama, but also really entertaining at the same time. So that historical fiction where some of it's made up, but based on reality.
Personally, I haven't seen a lot of them, but I've heard a lot of good things about The Crown, and I've seen a few snippets of it, and it does seem like amazing acting.
Grace, it'd be really cool to see The Morning Show win. Just as a journalist, seeing a show like that win this award.
Yeah, for sure. It does definitely hit close to home. I know that show's been receiving so much recognition just the past couple of years. Jennifer Aniston and Steve Carell always a great, great combo on screen.
And it's super interesting to see them in such a serious role when they're known for their comedies. So I'm really proud of them because that's a hard switch to go from comedy and being stuck in that rut and being able to like change on a dime like that.
100%. Dynamic actors, dynamic characters in this show. I am really excited to see who takes home the trophy in this category. Switching gears just a little bit, Hannah, the most stacked category, in my opinion, this year is the comedies category. We've got some really popular shows lined up in this category, and some that flew under the radar this year. Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Hacks, Only Murders in the Building, Palm Royale, Reservation Dogs, and What We Do in the Shadows. All of these shows are in the comedy category this year, and a lot of them have really, really good recognition and reviews.
Grace, this category seems to be a little bit larger than others, and I know that some of these shows have already won in years previous.
Yeah, they definitely have, and let's break it down to see a little bit more about which are predicted to win this year. According to Vanity Fair, The Bear is set to sweep across the board. The Bear released their third season just this summer. However, the reviews were well under 5 stars for that particular season. The New York Times reviews the newest season as less fulfilling than the last. However, season 3 was released after the cutoff for Emmy nominations, so it really won't impact the winning decision. And Hannah, I have to agree, I was pretty disappointed with the third season of The Bear, so I'm interested to see what will kind of happen with that. I know that won't really impact the decision, but for viewers and voters, it's got to be in the back of their minds a little bit. For now, let's take it to the streets and see if students agree with these predictions.
The Bear. It's funny. It's hilarious, comedy, and Jeremy Allen White.
I think The Bear. I've heard the most about it just online, social media.
Honestly, it's a tie between the Bear and Abbott Elementary, but I do think Abbott Elementary has it's probably going to win. I was going to say The Bear is close second.
Well, Grace, it looks like students may agree with the majority vote on this one, as The Bear seems to be the fan favorite.
Absolutely, Hannah. I do have to agree just a little bit with that. It should be an interesting category, and I'm honestly super excited to see who takes home the trophy.
And you know what? Someone that I worked with this summer lived in the same building as Jeremy Allen White while he was filming here.
Oh, so jealous.
I know, me too.
He's awesome. He's just one of the best actors I've seen in a really long time.
And he's done a couple of shows in Chicago, so I feel like he should just stay in there.
I 100% agree with you. Now, switching gears just a little bit, I wanted to touch base on the directors up for nomination.
Grace, I personally feel like directors are the most important part of producing a successful show. Let's take a look at the nomination. Now, as we can see by this list, Christopher Storer and Rami Youssef are both up for nominations based on different episodes of The Bear. Personally, I think this gives The Bear a leg up with a higher chance to win in this category.
Yeah, Hannah, it does seem like The Bear may win in this one, but the director who stood out to me the most on this list is Guy Ritchie, because I feel like he doesn't often take on directing roles for television series. Ritchie directed a comedy series entitled The Gentleman, which is a spin-off of his movie that released in 2019 starring Matthew McConaughey and has received outstanding applause and praise for a job well done. And although he may not be predicted to win this time around, this is the first time in a while that we've really seen him direct a television series, and I don't know about you, Hannah, but I am personally a big fan of his work.
You know, I haven't seen too much of it, but I've heard really great things from people who have, but I did love Aladdin.
Yeah, I did too. Aladdin was a great movie. He's got a lot of really diverse projects going on. I mean, taking Aladdin and The Gentleman, total 180, but really shows creative diversity.
Oh yeah, for sure. So one of the smaller categories of this year is limited series. Grace, I feel like there needs to be some clarification of what exactly a limited series is, because I know that sometimes I don't even understand the difference between that and a TV show. But a limited series only has a set number of episodes needed to tell one full story and will not exceed into another season. Most limited series often tell the story of a crime or roughly based on true events. The nominations this year are Baby Reindeer, Fargo, Lessons in Chemistry, Ripley, and True Detective Night Country.
Now, Hannah, most of these shows did involve some kind of crime-related plot, but I've got to be honest, I feel like a lot of these titles just really flew under the radar this year.
Yeah, Grace, for sure, and I think it's probably because people don't want to watch a limited series, they want something that they can keep watching.
Yeah, for sure.
But the only one I've really heard much of is Baby Reindeer, and Vanity Fair does predict it to win this time around. However, many of these limited series tell important stories that viewers can take away from. And hopefully viewing numbers will increase after the Emmys.
Yeah, I agree with you, Hannah. I think this was just kind of a rough year for this category, but I have seen it in years past really pick up and become really popular, so hopefully this coming year and production season we'll have more to see.
Yes, with more writers.
Yes, for sure.
Now, Grace, we've been talking about TV series so far, but we can't forget about late night talk shows.
That's right, Hannah. One of my favorite things to watch. I absolutely love these shows. And this year, we've got some nominations like The Daily Show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, Late Night with Seth Meyers, and Late Night with Stephen Colbert.
And I know that some of these guys have even hosted Emmys themselves, like Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert, and Seth Meyers. And now they get to be on the other side of it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of really fun for them, and they're all really good friends, but also competitors at heart at the end of the day. But for now, let's switch gears to reality for a minute. I, for one, did not realize that this was even a category for the Emmys until I did some research, but we've got some really good shows lined up for the award this year. The reality nominations are The Amazing Race, RuPaul's Drag Race, Top Chef, The Traitors, and The Voice. And Hannah, some of these shows have literally been on for season after season after season.
Yeah, Grace, I remember growing up watching The Voice every week with my family. It was something I really looked forward to, and it's so cool to see it get nominated now. And you know, we actually have a Hawkeye that was on The Voice.
Absolutely, I do remember that from last year.
Yeah, his name is Eli Ward. I talked to him for a story last year, and now he lives in Nashville, so good for him. Shows like The Amazing Race have been on for 36 seasons, and RuPaul is on season 16. However, the show Traitors just aired this past year, and so far is keeping good reviews. So I'm curious to see if they will come back with a second season.
For sure, Hannah, and I know that reality TV can sometimes get a bad reputation to some viewers, but we do have to remember that it is an important part of television, and it brings in a lot of viewership and entertainment for those that do watch. So I'm really excited to see who wins on Sunday, but for now, I heard that there's a pretty big name coming to Iowa City tonight.
That's correct, Grace. Chaka Khan will be singing in Iowa City tonight.
She's the queen of funk, right?
That's correct. Her legal name is Yvette Marie Stevens, and she's collaborated with artists like Prince, Joni Mitchell, and Stevie Wonder. She's known for her powerful voice and dynamic stage presence, and I think it's really cool to have someone at her level here in Iowa City.
She was also the lead singer of the band Rufus back in the 70s. Tickets aren't cheap. For students, it's only $25, but for anyone else, prices are starting at $55. This event is at Hancher tonight, and you can buy tickets through their website. Thank you so much for tuning in to the very first episode of Word on the Street.
We will be here every other week to give you all of your entertainment updates. I'm Hannah Lipski.
And I'm Grace Lathrop, and we'll see you next time on Word on the Street.